Sports fans, what a day, what a weekend, what's a whole potpourri of sports news to digest. It's still your favorite sports show, News in Santa Sports, broadcasting on Urban Radio Scope and also simultaneously on our YouTube channel, News in Santa Sport. You should know that whenever there are amazing things happening in the world of sports, that somebody will be kidnapping Debo. I happen to be the good person today. Debo has been kidnapped. It's Oyekachi, Orokokachi. I have the entire gang here. I've got Debo sitting on the other side of the table today. We welcome back our boxing specialist, Olayinka. We also have Sheyi here, and we've got the big man from Man U, Wale. I'll let Debo start. Debo, you want to say hi to the fans?
It's always wonderful to be here, even though I'm being kidnapped by Kachi today. But I like to be on the left side sometimes. I hope you have a wonderful one today.
Thank you so much, Debo. Olayinka, you want to say hi? We missed you.
Hi, sports fans. Honestly, I missed you too so much. It's great to be back and sit back, relax, as I always say, and enjoy the show.
Thank you so much, Yinka. Sheyi, you want to say hello to the fans?
Hello, Sport World. Thank you for joining us on this week's show again. Hopefully you enjoy yourself.
Thank you so much, Sheyi. We're still working out the technical kinks for Olawale, but as soon as he joins us, you'll be hearing his voice. Of course, I know Sporting World, you've heard the news. It's still a shocker to everybody, but we'll keep it until the very last, and I'm sure you know what we're talking about. Would rather whet your appetite by starting with the other earthquake that happened in other sports. And what better way to start than basketball? Free agency started last week, and what news we've been hearing? The LA Lakers unexpectedly became one of the most active stories in the NBA free agency. It's becoming a band of old men, according to what Debo would say. The Lakers made some terrific moves, even though they look to be very old moves. We've got Carmelo Anthony, 17 years after joining the NBA with LeBron James, they finally get to play together on the same team, even though they've been teammates in the Olympic. Not only that, we have Russell Westbrook also leaving Washington Wizards and teaming up with LeBron in Los Angeles. We've also got Dwight Howard returning. So I'm going to start with you first, Debo. What is your take on what the Lakers are doing? I know during our production show, you said that's a team of old men. But I think that's a pretty formidable team that if their desire is to win now, they can do it. What do you say?
Yeah, for me, it looks old, but sometimes old wines are just the best. Old wines are just the best, right? And it's a terrific one. When you have someone like Russ Westbrook on your roster, you have an enigma like Carmelo Anthony on your roster, and of course, LeBron James. But the problem, or should I say the snag, will be, can this guy keep fit the entire season? You know, that would be the major thing. And
go on.
Okay, and I hope with what we have in science and all today, probably they can keep fit. Probably. Last week I don't agree with you on Olawale when you said Russ Westbrook is ball dominant and it's going to be a problem with LeBron. I said there's always going to be a way out of that, right? And I'm still a firm believer of that. And just to shock you, I strongly feel that this is not the end of it for the Lakers. They still have one rabbit left to pull out of their hats, and we'll wait and see. I'll break the news on News to Starter once it does.
Ladies and gentlemen, Debo still has the faint hope that Steph Curry, who recently signed his own contract extension of $215 million, becoming the first NBA player to sign over $200 million contracts in that process. Wow. He still thinks that young man will come to the Lakers. He's probably still dreaming. But Debo, I will come to you. Rather, Yinka, I will come to you. Debo mentioned something saying the biggest challenge for the Lakers now would be how they stay fit. And I really want to, I want to say, I have a tendency to disagree because I know how much LeBron James, it's been documented that he spent at least $1.2 million taking care of his body during the offseason. I follow him on Instagram and I see videos that he puts up. Recently put up a video of him working out with Anthony Davis and a bunch of other guys, meaning that guys like AD is now beginning to take his health serious. We know that Russell Westbrook has been a fanatic person in the gym right from time. He hardly ever gets injured. What is your take? I personally believe that the next season's NBA will still have to go through Brooklyn if the Nets are healthy. What is your take on that?
Yeah, thanks, Kachi. And once again, fans, it's great to be back. Personally, let me start by summing up the scenario at Lakers now. It's all about surrounding the king, LeBron James, with experience. Now, when you look at the people that came in, obviously LeBron James is not getting younger. This is going to be the next NBA season. Is going to be his 19th season, and that's something that you cannot joke with. It would have taken its toll on his body. It would have taken its toll on his mentality, and I guess that was why the Lakers management looked at it and said, "Let's bring in experienced fans. Let's see if they can give them that last push for one more title, one more swam song." Right. Now, out of all the people coming in, to me, Westbrook is probably the most qualified. In the last season, he did a lot of triple doubles, right? However, is what's called turnover prone, and at times is not an efficient shooter. And when you look at Anthony, again, Carmelo Anthony, he's 37 years old. I mean, good player. He's been there, seen it all, done it all. I know he's going to add value to the king, as it were. Then finally, Dwight Howard. You know, Dwight Howard is also an old man by basketball standards.
Basketball, yes.
He's 35. He's won one ring before. And I think this is, if they can give it that final push, they'll win their second ring. And even apart from that, you look at the fact that they also brought in a Kendrick Nunn.
From the Miami Heat.
So everything is meant to help the king get one more title. And like you rightly pointed out, the king himself has been wise enough to invest on his health. He has spent a lot of money, and I guess maybe that was one of the reasons why he didn't go to the Olympics. He wanted to rest his aged body. I see them being a formidable team, in addition to Anthony Davis as well. I see them being formidable in this last season. However, I just feel that it will get to a point where, like you said, age will turn on them, and Debo said it, injury might set in, because the older you are, the more difficult it is to do all those turns that he did 10 years. And as such, I believe that this 19th season of the king, they might not win the title, and the Nets might be the perennial contenders as well.
If I could add something, on the flip side, at the New York, the Brooklyn Nets, we thought those guys are relatively younger than what we have at Lakers right now, and see how we turned out. You know, I was disappointed, but just the way it is, it's just one of those things that could happen to anybody at any time. I beg to differ. I understand the fact that LeBron takes care of himself very well, but the way it is, if the injury is going to set, it's going to set in. There's little else they can do about it.
And once it's
exactly, and the recovery process for someone older will be slower compared to someone that is 26 or 25. It's just my opinion. I stand to be corrected anyway.
Interesting takes, Debo and Yinka. And why I agree to an extent with what you guys have said. I think what the Lakers have tried to do is to stack up the team with a lot of depth and experience. You know, Kendrick Nunn, they still retain some of their young boys in talent hunting, who is going to pair himself very well with Kendrick Nunn. I remember when the news of the Carmelo Anthony and Russell Westbrook trade was announced, I told Debo that they still need some shooters. And that was where
Yeah,
Debo thought maybe
yeah.
Steph Curry would come. I think adding a Kendrick Nunn is a very good idea in increasing their depth. For not without saying, hey, I'm going to load manage. LeBron and Carmelo, they may come in the regular season and just coast and give you 28 minutes a game per day, which will keep
Yeah,
their
true
body
that.
well. And they
True
so
that.
right now they're going to have proper rotation. But I also
Exactly.
agree with you that the Milwaukee Bucks might be defending champion, but it's still the Brooklyn Nets league to
Priority to
lose,
lose.
To
Exactly.
lose.
except something else happened.
Yeah.
However, I think just by the additions the Lakers have made, they've become the favorites in the West, no matter how stacked the West is. So thanks, guys. I'll move on to other basketball news. Kyle Lowry, after the Canadian Toronto Raptor legend, is
They're
finally
gonna miss
leaving
him.
the Raptors on a sign and trade to the Miami Heat. Um, that's an amazing thing for the Heat. If the West was called a joking or a joker of a conference before, it's becoming the West is shaping up to become a very competitive conference right now. We have the Nets stacked to the deck. We have the defending champions, the Milwaukee Bucks, even though they lost PJ Tucker, their bulldog to the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat got stronger with Kyle Lowry and with PJ Tucker. Other news: Trae Young also signed his rookie extension, 4 year, I think about 200 million or thereabout,
207.
207
207 million.
million, which also bodes well for the Eastern Conference. Now, I wanted to ask one other thing before in basketball before we move to other segment. So feelers are coming out that the Toronto Raptors have plans to retire Kyle Lowry's number 7 jersey when Kyle Lowry himself retires from the sport. Just quickly, one sentence, Debo. Do you think that is something that they should do?
Obviously, a great legend for the Raptors. I will agree 100%. I wouldn't even wait till he retires, anyways. I will retire right now.
And Yinka, what do you agree? What do you think about that?
Well, he's a legend. That's just it, and it will be a thing of honor. It will be so honorable to do that in memory of his great contribution to our one and only NBA title so far. He was instrumental to that victory. It was instrumental to that title.
It's a feeling of embarrassment that the sport was started by a Canadian, but a Canadian franchise only has one.
Come on, we're just 33
championship.
million in Canada. You can't compare to those hoodlums in the other side of 330 million.
Other interesting news, basketball news. Alex Caruso, one of my favorite Laker players, has been traded to the Chicago Bulls. Lonzo Ball also has moved to the Chicago Bulls right now. So it also echoes the fact that the East is shaping up to be a dramatic or a very competitive conference in next season's NBA tournament. Moving on to the Olympics, and the Olympics ended over the weekend. We saw scenes, unbelievable scenes that reinforces why it is still the crown prince of major sporting events. We saw the emotions run high. We saw unbelievable results and performances from people, but all good things come to an end. It ended, the United States headed the medal table. I think they finished with 39 gold, 41 silver, and 33 bronze. China came second with 38 gold, 32 silver, and 18 bronze. Japan came third. The host country came third with 27 golds, and Great Britain came fourth with 22 golds. Of honorable mention is Canada, who finished 11th with 7 gold. Amazing performances, especially with the gold medal in soccer. Sheyi, and I'm going to ask you this. Number one, two-pronged question. What will you take from this Olympics, especially having no fans on ground, seeing them, experience all the emotions and all the rides, the surprising results in the 100 meters. the not so surprising results in the female 100 and 200 meters. And as Nigerians, how would you assess the Nigerian contingent performance? Sheyi?
Thank you, Oracle. Let me start by saying something about the Olympics generally. I think I was quite impressed about the Olympics generally from the use of technology in this particular edition. It was massive. You see the winners, gold medalists, they have the opportunity to actually be on the screen with their families where during the celebration. That was quite awesome. That's the first of it. Also, you see technology in play in terms of the way they display robots. I think kudos to Japan for this particular edition.
Yeah, and that's a forte.
Yeah. That exactly. I think that's actually right. One other thing, I think this particular Olympics, US, there's possibility of US being as in the gap on the medal table should have been higher than that from my perspective, because I think they are they rule athletics over the decades. And I think this particular time around, they dropped quite a lot of medals in the athletic table. So I think kudos to the US Olympics team.
Let me stop you there,
talking
Sheyi.
about Nigeria performance overall, I think.
Yeah, I wanted to stop you there, Sheyi, just before you go to the assessment of the Nigerian performance. Do you think, especially for the Americans, do you think it's more about the Americans dropping the ball, or the fact that other countries, other nations are stepping up their games, especially in athletics that you mentioned?
Yeah, I think that's not far from the truth. And I think it's a generational thing. About now, I think other countries are stepping up. And in particular, I think Italy winning the 4x100 and winning the 100 meters was a total surprise, was a shocker.
Yes.
I think that should be the shocker of the Olympics, of the tournament.
I agree with you. I completely agree
to
with
me.
you.
And also Canada picking up quite a lot of gold medals in some sports that we don't really expect them to pick. So I think other countries are closing the gap, no doubt about that. But you will expect that US will still go back and come back in the nearest future.
Yeah, especially, you're right. I mean, the likes of Sha'Carri Richardson did not make the tournament. She would have been, a medal hopeful in the sprint. And okay, so Sheyi, before, I think what I'll do is I'll wait to hear from the other panelists, and then I will come back to you, Olayinka. And I would like to welcome Olawale to our show. Thanks for joining us. But Olayinka, Nigerian contingent, 1 silver, 1 bronze, from a country of almost 200 million people, known for their sporting prowess. How would you assess their performance? Yinka?
Oh, well, to me, it's nothing short of a fiasco. I mean, to me, I got you. Yeah, the Olympics 2021 and Nigeria's attitude, preparation, and results. To me, like I said, it was a fiasco. It was a failure. We must call it what it is. We must call it spade a spade. I mean, it's gotten to that stage where we need to do a lot of self-analysis and self-criticism. Nigeria, way back, we used to be known as the giant of Africa in sports, especially in the sprints. But when you look at the results from the last Olympics, when you look at results across board, you find that there's been a lot of retrogression. I mean, in the sprints, in track and field events, the Ivorians, Ghanaians, they've taken over. In boxing, Nigeria has lost it. And even in our traditional soccer, we couldn't even qualify. It goes to show that there's a lot of things wrong. There's a lot of things wrong with management. There's a lot of things wrong with organization. I mean, it took how many days before we could get our first medal, and it had to come from the men. It shows that it came from the women. Sorry, and it shows that we need to really sit down and look at a lot of things. You know, when you look at the fact that 10 athletes, they were prevented. Let me use that word. They were prevented from participating because of what was meant to have been done wasn't done. A policy that was laid down was not followed, or it was ignored. I mean, it goes to show that we're not focusing on the right things. And I would not be surprised if more Nigerians begin to represent other countries in coming Olympics.
Thank you so much, Yinka. Olawale, if you can hear us, I'm going to pose this question to you. The sports manufacturing giant Puma recently sent a letter to the Nigeria Athletic Federation telling them that they were discontinuing their sponsorship of the athletics team. We saw hundreds and hundreds of kits provided by Puma lying in someone's house compound back there in Abuja in Nigeria, not disbursed to the people who needed it. I don't know if you read it. We read about other athletes from the Russian Olympic Committee when she won gold, saying, and she's a new mother, saying she had not seen her child for 300 days. That is close to 1 year, preparing for the Olympics. We saw athletic teams or directors for other countries stepping down due to shambolic performances. What would you say the Nigerian Sports Ministry and the Athletic Federation should do? I don't want to say what can we take from it, but what should be the step? Even if they will not hear us, let us at least put out what we think they should do. And if they don't do it, posterity will judge them. Olawale. Okay, if Olawale can hear us, Debo, I believe you heard the question. I'm going to pose the same question to you. What do you think the Nigerian Athletic Federation and the Sports Ministry in general should take from this? Who should be held accountable for this? For the embarrassment with Puma to the embarrassment of the team? Nobody is coming out to stick out their neck and own up and say, hey, I'm responsible. Let me take pay the price for this mess up, so to speak.
Yeah, for me, I think we play too much politics with sensitive issues in Nigeria, and this just go to buttress that fact. And personally, I think it's a long shot, but I'll blame the president of Nigeria for selecting out of over 200 million people incompetent. I don't want to use bad word on radio. But you know what the next word will be, Kachi. You know me that well, so you should know incompetent. You know, into these sensitive areas, and I feel the AFN should be disbanded. The Minister of Sports and Youth, Sunday Dare, should be sacked. It does not deserve to be in that kind of sensitive position. This is a national disgrace to us. Forget about the medal tables. Forget about the fact that we did not do well, but to parade ourselves in this kind of shambles to the whole world, it's I don't know what to say. It's heartbreaking, so to speak. It's embarrassing.
Even having one of our athletes showing on social media the way it was rewashing the
kit
that was given to him.
Exactly.
That was a total
especially when we had.
We thought the young man was going to win something, but even the frenzy.
He finished 12th.
It's 12th with the frenzy on the social media. He was not able to concentrate again and finish 12th at the end of the day. This is just it just goes to show these people don't care about, and this is what I keep saying. They don't care about the feelings of the citizens. They don't care about the feelings of the fans. Whatever suits them, that's what they do.
Thank you so much, guys, for such in-depth analysis. I'm going to move really quickly before our next commercial break to the world of boxing. Everyone was afraid that this fight would never hold, but it looks like it's going to finally hold. In 2 weeks' time, the Pac-Man Manny Pacquiao will be facing Errol Spence Jr. Shay, can you provide us a little bit of updates on what we should expect from this fight?
Yes, we're glad finally that the bout is going to be going ahead. Because initially everybody was scared. I think we saw to Joshua and Fury that had to be cancelled because of Wilder and Fury case. But
I think we lost Shahid there. I'm going to pass this on.
We're happy this is going to be going down in 2 weeks. Fighters really respect each other. I remember Manny Pacquiao saying,
we're going to go on to speak. I'm going to pass this to Olayinka. Yinka, at 40, I think it's close to 40 or just slightly over 40.
It's 42.
Do you think this would be a stroll in the park for the Pac-Man, or do we expect an upset, if we should call it an upset, by Errol Spence Jr.?
Honestly, Kachi, between me and you, I really don't understand why the Pac-Man picked up this fight. He's 42 years old. He's going to fight a man who is 11 years his junior, right? And Errol Spence is an experienced fighter. He's an exciting fighter, and he's a southpaw. And I know Manny Pacquiao usually finds it difficult fighting against people that are southpaws, left-handed, because the stance is different. However, you need to look at another issue has to do with the fact that his last fight was 2 years ago. Yes, it was 2 years ago. I mean, the Pac-Man, Manny Pacquiao. However, he had an impressive victory over Keith Thurman, and Keith Thurman is no soft customer. He's a very, very dogged and strong boxer. And in that fight, Manny Pacquiao knocked him out in the first round and eventually won, although it was a difficult fight afterwards. So if I were to bring that outlook, the outlook of that match, of that fight into this fight, I would say that yes, Manny Pacquiao is going to take the fight to Errol Spence. However, 2 years is a long time. And Manny Pacquiao is a part-time politician. So I don't think his training regime would have been so strong enough to be in the shape that he was 2 years ago.
Thank you, sir.
To me, I see Errol Spence taking this fight, winning it. However, don't write off the Pac-Man. He's seen it all.
All right, thank you so much. Shayi, I'm going to come back to you again. You heard all what Debo said in his analysis. I saw a video of the Pac-Man, sparring outside for the fans to see. Just really quickly, in 30 seconds or less, what do you think we should expect from this fight?
Yeah, basically, I think what the world is expecting is an explosive bout, bout of two different generations. If you know what I mean. Pacquiao has the experience, has a fantastic team also behind him. But looking at Errol Spence's age, agility, and also his reach, I think his reach is another potential advantage for Spence, because they are both fighters that fight toe to toe. They want to come inside at all costs. But I think Spence might just make better use of his reach to try to avoid Pacquiao from coming in. And if this fight goes the length, there could be only one winner. That would be Spence, age, and also Odus just mentioned that Pac-Man has not fought any fight for the last 2 years. And I think that is going to affect this.
Yeah,
Kachi, if I may add, just pray for Manny Pacquiao that doesn't die.
It's not going to get to that. But guys, I have to say this. I completely agree with your analysis. It's a fight between two formidable fighters, but between two different generations. If it goes the length, I see Errol Spence's endurance and stamina lasted. So thanks for that. Just before we go on a quick break, we want to give another honorary mention to Valentino Rossi, who is finally hanging his boots from motorsports or motor racing after 21 years and 9 world championship. I mean, amazing career. In less than 30 seconds or 20 seconds, Debo, would you want to say something about Valentino Rossi?
Yeah. What Michael Schumacher and Sir Lewis Hamilton is to Formula One, that's what we have on the other side of motor racing. This is an absolute legend, and we can't but wish him good luck in his next endeavor. Hope he's going to coach up the younger generation and mentor them.
Thank you so much, Debo. We'll go on a quick break and we'll come back and start with our first segment in the football section. Thank you and join us shortly. Welcome back, guys, from that short break. It's still your best sports program on radio and on YouTube. It's News Instances Sports on Urban Radio Scope, and also on our YouTube page. We're going to start the first segment of the football news. I know you guys are still waiting for us to discuss Messi, and we will discuss that in in-depth analysis, but we need to get the smaller news out of the way. We'll start with the Community Shield, the precursor to the commencement of the English Premier League, held on Saturday between the winners of the FA Cup, Leicester City, and the defending champions of the Barclays Premiership, Manchester City. It took an 89th minute penalty from the Nigerian-born Kelechi Iheanacho to settle the matters between both sides. Usually they say whoever wins the Community Shield ends up not winning the league. So we can rule Leicester City from potentially winning the league. But before I ask you guys, a really sad one for Leicester. Their cornerback, their centre back Wesley Fofana had a season-ending, a year-ending injury that will require surgery. We wish him the very best of luck and a speedy recovery. Olawale, I want to start with you here. We saw Leicester remaining very stubborn to beat, even if they don't play the best eye-popping football, but they still remain a tough nut for Man City to crack. We saw the £100 million signing from Aston Villa, Jack Grealish, make his debut. Do you think this loss by City reinforces the need for a proper number 9 like Harry Kane? Or do you just think they can go with their false 9 and coast through the league like they did last season? Wale?
Yeah. Hello, Kachi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Well, I don't think this match reinforces anything, but the fact still remain, they probably need a proper number 9. For this an advanced preseason game. It's just for the teams to size themselves out with some element of pride on the line. So I don't think this match actually reinforces the need for a number 9. But actually, I think if they are going to have any chance winning this season, they will probably need to go with a number 9. Considering the fact that Jack Grealish might be a regular starter, and when you have a Jack Grealish on the left side, it's not the same thing as you having Raheem Sterling. Raheem Sterling can actually stretch the defense. He can make those intelligence runs. He's more of like a second striker on the pitch, even though he's playing from the left side. Unlike Jack Grealish will be more you sit back. He can take on 1 or 2 players, but you don't expect him to probably give you the kind of goals contribution that you get from Sterling. So on that side, they probably need a proper number 9. But I don't think this match probably means much or says anything about how the season of the two teams is going to go.
Okay, thank you very much, Olawale. Sheyi, I'm going to come to you now. Do you think it's too early to say that the major contenders, of course, we know the big names should always be there, but we've seen the summer moves that Manchester United has made. We discussed this in our previous shows. We've seen really good additions, but we've also seen what Chelsea is doing, and we're going to be telling you about this trades very soon. But who do you think is the biggest threat to dethroning Manchester United, Manchester City, and who do you think will be the dark horses? Liverpool has only made one major signing, and that is bringing Konate. We've seen Man U do what they need to do. We're seeing Chelsea being Chelsea, going back to their vomit. We're seeing Arsenal being Arsenal. We're seeing Spurs. Well, we're seeing Daniel Levy being Daniel Levy. But to cut this long story short, who, in your opinion, is Man City's biggest threat this season?
Thank you, Kachi. I think, in my opinion, two teams are going to push Man City quite well this season, and they still remain Chelsea and probably Manchester United. I still don't want to leave out Liverpool, but we know that the problem they had last season will probably be over this season. They'll be having back their center backs, the likes of VVD and the likes of Gomez will also be back during the season. And I'm sure he also bought like two defenders during the previous season, which will also serve as backup for these guys. And we expect them to also gel into the team and play better. But part of the things we analyzed last season was that the particular type of football that Jurgen Klopp team plays probably affects his players over the years. Yeah. So I still think that will still be something that will be of like what their opponents will capitalize. And I would like to pick them as the fourth team to push Man City. But the Lukaku effect will help Chelsea quite a lot. They played well last season, but we saw that the missing link was the top line, and that is what they are trying to fix at this moment. If they're able to pull that off, I see them as a formidable team to push Man City.
Thank you so much. I personally,
Manchester United, as a Manchester United fan, I don't want to say too much. So
don't jinx it. Don't jinx it, Jay. Debo, I'm going to come to you. I'm going to come to you, Debo. We've seen Spurs make moves right now. They recently signed, I think they signed Chris Romero from Atalanta for about £47 million. We understand that they've agreed personal terms with Lautaro Martinez from Inter Milan. Is that a sign, Debo, that Daniel Levy has finally accepted the fact that Harry Kane will be leaving? And how does that really affect Spurs' chances? Do you think there will be a celebration of Nottingham Day or Tottenham Day in the red half of London at the end of this season?
Honestly, I feel there's not going to be any Saturday Day on the right side of North London this season. Lautaro Martinez, it's if he goes to the White Hart Lane or to Tottenham Hotspur, that's going to be a very wonderful addition for them. Don't forget they got a backup goalkeeper in Collini from Atlanta as well. And honestly, it just goes to show that it's most likely Harry Kane will leave. Most likely. But the problem is the negotiation. I'm pretty sure that Levy will want to milk Man City as much as he can. And that could be the ill snag. But if we see the Lautaro Martinez deal going through before the end of this week, then definitely Kane is going to leave for Manchester City. And I disagree with Olale that he said that it does not show that the game yesterday between Leicester City and Man City does not show the need for a real number 9. It does show a real need for a number 9 at Manchester City. Otherwise, their main goal, which is the Champions League, they can forget about it once again.
Very interesting. I'm sure listeners, you've seen that I post questions relating to specific clubs to their supporters.
But you don't need a match yesterday to know that they need a striker. That is my point. The yesterday match didn't show us any new thing that we already know about the two sides.
Of course. It did not show us something that we did not know before, but it just reinforces that Pep Guardiola should not
really. That's just an advancement.
Think he's a genius that is not.
I think what I'm going to do, guys, is just a few days before the league starts, we might have to go on Instagram Live and get you panelists to come back, and we'll discuss in depth all the ins, outs, expectations, potential surprises of the forthcoming Premiership. Because if we leave it here, we will not get to Lionel Messi, and I'm sure you are dying to let me know what you think. Debo, I'm going to come to you just before we take another short break. Liverpool, not very aggressive in the transfer market, mainly because they're getting most of their guys back, which to me feels like signing new players. VVD got an entire season, full rest from rehabilitating that injured ACL, I believe he tore. Joe Gomez, they added Ibrahim Konate, I believe. Do you see them as pretenders to the throne, or in Sheyi's assessment, do you think Liverpool, if they change their Gegenheim style of football and just try and pace themselves over 38 games, will make a solid threat to Man City's throne?
For me, they remain the dark horses for the league, and not because of the player that they have, but simply because of the Jurgen Klopp factor. Yeah, exactly. Okay. For me, if you have ACL, it's usually career not ending, but career wrecking for most footballers. Exactly. They just tend to change after it, and you be like, is it the same player? I know we've had a couple of players in the past that they'll come back from ACL. Like, are they the same player? So what exactly happened to them? So I think it will take about 5-6 weeks for us to be able to judge the level that VVD is in right now. Matip, we know is going to do a Matip and go on and off all through the season. Joe Gomez, you can't rely on Joe Gomez as well. So I think there's a lot of sensibility bringing Ibrahim Konate from RB Leipzig. I don't believe he's a good defender. Anyways, I stand to be corrected, but I believe in Klopp. So he has made so many other players look world class.
Thanks, Debo. I'm going to pose this question to the in-house Liverpool supporter. Basically the same question, Olayinka, that I posed today, but how do you fancy Liverpool's chances in the coming season?
I've been busting to talk. I've been swelling up. To me, first and foremost, Liverpool will always be perennial contenders due to their tradition, their philosophy, and their coach, like Debo rightly opined. And however, I think when you look at the different segments of the game, the defense has been taken care of. We've already spoken about that. However, I think they're also having a problem similar to that of Man City up front. I think we have two of the most dangerous players in the world in Mane and Salah. But when you look at the form of Robert Firmino, he's been tipsy-turvy. 2 seasons ago, he was playing out of this world football, but last season he basically lost it. He got tired, and unfortunately, we did. Diogo Jota got injured. Jota, who to me would have replaced him seamlessly, he got injured. So at the beginning of the season, I was expecting Liverpool, or at the beginning during this break, during the break, I was expecting Liverpool to pick up a striker. It might not be a world-class striker in the form of Harry Kane, because it might be too expensive for us, given the fact that other big spending clubs too are chasing in. talking about PSG and Man City. However, I actually expected a natural striker to come in so that it will give us a refreshing difference from Mane coming in from the left and Salah coming in from the right. At least it will probably, I'm sure Jurgen Klopp too is a seasoned manager. He might have an ace up his sleeve concerning changing the football philosophy, because everybody knows once you choke Salah and Mane, Liverpool becomes slightly ineffective. So to me, apart from Chelsea, I think Liverpool too, they're going to give City a run for their money. I see them, obviously, they'll be in top 3 at the end of the season.
If I might add before we move on, Olayinka, I'll be more worried with the injury of Andrew Robertson today. Atletico Bilbao, and the fact that the other guy, what's his name, Arnold might not come back very soon. I'll be more worried about that striker issue.
Ladies and gentlemen, guys, sorry I'm cutting you short. Just I'm trying to make sure we fit all this into our time slot. If there's anything you've noticed here, you've noticed that the Man U supporters have called Man U the biggest threat to City's to dethroning City. Same thing for Olayinka, who is an ardent Liverpool fan, but we did not hear that from the Arsenal man. I'm going to leave it like that and go to the major transfer news. We mentioned it that Lautaro Martinez is moving, in principle, has agreed in principle to move from Inter Milan to Spurs. We know this is the reason why their coach, Antonio Conte, dumped the team, because he had already been informed that Inter will be a selling club this season and they will not be buying as much as they did. Romero also is moving from Atalanta to Spurs. I think that's a very good shore up. The one we did not see coming was the move of Danny Ings from Southampton to Aston Villa. And I said it during our production call that this is basically a case of a struggling poor man suddenly winning the lottery and buying the very first thing that comes to his mind. I know it's a signature buy, but it's not a like-for-like replacement. We'll see how that goes. Lukaku, we understand that in the coming days may complete a 115 million pound move from Inter Milan back to Chelsea, the club who signed him as a teenager from Anderlecht. I have very strong opinion about this. In just 30 seconds, I'm going to allow Olawale and I'll also allow Sheyi give us what they feel about Lukaku going back. Sheyi, I think you already told us if Lukaku goes to Chelsea, they will be one of their biggest threats. But Olawale, do you think that Liverpool should be, Chelsea should be doing this? We discussed this last week. I was asked this question, that why do big clubs wait until these small boys are now so big, then their eyes pop out and they want to get these guys? Chelsea had Lukaku. They had him for peanuts. They sold him, they loaned him out, they sold him. Now they want to pay more than 5 times what they paid to sign him first from Belgium. Is he the answer to Chelsea's striker Malé? Olawale?
Yeah, Chelsea have to do this they have to do this at this point in time, considering the fact the way they finished last season. The second of the season was actually excellent since Thomas Tuchel actually took over. But if there was still the part of the team that still looked a bit vulnerable, that's the attacking line. So that is where they've not really gotten enough firepower. The defense, what do you call it? The guys there are not really performing. So if they are to have any chance of giving City, what do you call it? A run for their money.
Yeah.
They need the proper striker. And I think Lukaku probably fits into that. He's confident enough. He has seen it all. I don't think he will be under any pressure to perform. For you to have performed in United, Inter, and for what do you call it, for his national team. And so I was listening to somebody today saying, why not probably wait for Haaland next year? It might be available for 60 something million pounds because of the buyout clause. But no, they have to do this now because you don't know what will happen. The dynamics next season might be different in terms of you don't know how United team is going to be. You don't know how Liverpool is going to be. This season, they look as the closest threat to what do you call it, to Man City, and they have to grab it. Next season, you never know. United might be in for Haaland, Bayern might be in for Haaland. So if Lukaku is available for that price, and I think that's the only major sign they are doing, they just have to do it and give themselves a chance.
Okay, thank you so much. Sheyi, I had a question before, but I'm going to change it now because of what Olaika said when he analyzed Liverpool, that Liverpool probably need an out-and-out striker right now. And this news about Kun Aguero already expressing his discomfort and having informed his agent that he wants to leave Barcelona, of course, as an aftershock of the shocking departure of Lionel Messi, which we'll get into shortly. Do you think Liverpool should reach out and say, hey, we once had a South American in the form of Luis Suarez come in for us, even when the supporting cast was terrible and he had an amazing season. Now that we have a probably a formidable supporting cast, if we get a Kun Aguero and service him from the flanks with, Mane, Salah, and Diego Jota, do you think that Liverpool should, if it's truly available, look into signing Kun Aguero? Shay?
Okay. I think that question, I only have one answer for it. No.
Okay.
And I'll definitely explain why. Number one, being the age of Kun Aguero, I think is past. With the pace that Liverpool players or Liverpool team work with, I don't think Kun Aguero is going to fit into that. That's number one. Number two, Jurgen Klopp plays in a particular way that I don't think a top nine like Kun Aguero will work for him. I remember him singing the praise of Firmino last season, saying that if Firmino is a musician, he's going to be one that can play almost every
instrument.
Every instrument. And I understand what it means by that. I don't think Kun Aguero is the person to replace him. I think I'll stick with that.
Okay. My other guys are foaming at the mouth to have a say in this, but we need to take a quick break and go to the main topic. We might put this on our social media handle. We want to hear what you feel, about all the different things we've talked about. Is Kun Aguero a good signing? Should we even leave Barcelona in the first place? Do you think Messi should also take the next move he's going to do? We'll be back after this very short break, and we'll discuss all things Messi. Back in a bit. We're back again, and we're back to discuss all things Messi. He joined at age 13. He served this club meritoriously for 21 good years. He's joined, the club paid for his, I don't know if it's a stem cell or a transfusion that they did to help him for proper growth hormones. He won Champions Leagues. He won leagues. He had the famous remontada with PSG coming back from a 4-1 deficit to win in that famous Champions League night. He had that famous press conference addressing the fans saying he was going to bring back the Champions League to Barcelona. It looked like that was going to happen at some point. He was part of this team when they lost 8-2 on that inglorious Champions League night to Bayern Munich. But he won them leagues. He said he wanted to go. He sent a bureau fax. He decided to stay. They told us this deal was completed. And then all of a sudden, we woke up to the news that the king, arguably the best striker or best player we've seen in the world of football in the last 50 years, is leaving Barcelona. We watched this press conference over the weekend. We saw him crying, insisting, without saying so much, but saying he did not want to go. But he's finally leaving. Guys, and I'm going to start with your Lainka. I'm not even asking you, is this a right move or whatever? What happened? Where did Barcelona get it wrong? Or was it Lionel Messi that got it wrong? Is it the fact that Barcelona's spending is being reduced from 600 million net spend to about 200 million by the La Liga officials? Or is it the fact that right now, based on their current fee structure, they will be spending 110% of their potentially higher than what they will make. Is that enough reason? Can't they just beg some of these old players to leave? Why? Oh, why? So many questions, Olayinka.
Honestly, you said it all. Too many questions to ask. But first of all, I'll say that the board of directors of Barcelona for the past 10 years, they are responsible for 99% of the problem that Barcelona is in right now. Yeah, the pandemic happened, so you can also put 0.5% on the pandemic that occurred in the last 2 years. However, when you look at the financial management of that team, I mean, it's unbelievable that they could have allowed this to go on for years without addressing it. I mean, a lot of school of thoughts they come up with ideas, postulations on why Barcelona is they are in such a dire financial position. I mean, you knew that Messi alone, his wage bill alone was pushing down. It was pushing down the finances of the company. And you allowed someone like Griezmann to come in last year with another massive wage structure. And I mean, it goes to show that the financial accountant at that club was probably asleep or did not have one in the first place. It's terrible that a club as big as Barcelona, they have allowed their expense line to be blotted to an extent whereby they are finding it difficult. Even if a player decides to play for them free, they cannot. If a player decides to sign for them free, they cannot bring him on board because they cannot pay him $1 now due to their deficit that they're having. That's why you have players like Depay and Kun Aguero, players that have been signed, but they cannot be registered. It goes to show that a lot of messy things have been happening there for years. And the number one person among the board of directors, or let me say the ex-president, Bartomeu, is only responsible because this rot, he was in the middle of this rot and he could not come to a position on how to salvage the company when he was there. I mean, Messi threatened them a couple of years ago that if you don't sign world-class players, I will leave. I mean, right there and then, they should have looked at their books and said, hey, we cannot afford to take this man. We cannot afford to continue in this way. It is setting a dangerous trend for the future. But no, they allowed sentiments. They allowed their self-centeredness to get the better of them. And right now, it's Barcelona is going the way of AC Milan of years ago. Sorry about that, Kachi.
No problem. I understand you.
They are going the way of AC Milan years ago. So they probably need to go and meet the AC Milan management team and ask them, how did you recover from that quagmire of some years ago?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Debo. Yinka, pardon me. Olawale, I'm going to come to you. Yinka has said so much, but Barcelona knew. The league had informed them what they could spend because they put a cap on spending. If they knew all this, why did they not prioritize settling Messi before going out to get a Memphis Depay, get a Kun Aguero, or not even offloading Antoine Griezmann when he was still marketable? How do you? I'm so short of words that I guess my question to you will be, what was going on in their mind? We in our group production call during the week, you and I agreed when we read an article that I think this is just a play not to let the league sell a stake to some venture capitalists, and we said, oh, Messi was not going to leave. But Sunday morning came, Messi gave his interview. Why did they not prioritize getting Messi before doing other things? Wale?
Now, this is a bit complicated issue, but let us start from the fact that in 2013, the La Liga actually came up with a salary cap rule for all the teams in the league. So it's not like something that they just came up with now. So there's a certain percentage of your revenue that you can spend on player salary and signings. So what happened? COVID happened. But before COVID happened, Barcelona has been spending a lot of money on their players. The Griezmann, I think we heard about the contract of most of these players. It was very ridiculously very high. So because of COVID, because of the reduction in potential revenues and actual revenues, so they couldn't come up with the what do you call it, with the figures. And unfortunately for them, Messi's contract expired. Unfortunately, Messi contract expired, and for them to bring him in, they need to at least probably reduce their wage bill by 200 million pounds. And because of the way the transfer market was going on, like I was saying when Debo was saying the other day, you could get this. Most people are not really interested in some of these players they were offering, because they have a lot of bad assets. Let me just put it like that. A lot of damaged assets that a lot of people were not really looking at. If it was 2 years ago, yes, somebody somewhere could have probably fancy Griezmann. So yeah, so you can't force these guys to leave. That's another thing. And I think for Messi and Barcelona, they all knew this was going to happen a long time ago. I think it was just a PR stunt to probably delay it up to this time, to shift the blame to La Liga. Messi saving his own face with the fans. Laporte trying to probably make it look like the whole thing is a bit of, because already, even with Messi not signing, their wage bill still like over the line. They already knew all along that this was not going to be possible. I think this was just a way to manage it and trying to shift the blame on La Liga, because the deal La Liga actually got for them is actually good for the whole team.
Exactly.
The only reason why Barcelona and Real Madrid are rejecting this is because I think there is a clause that will prevent them from probably doing a Super League thing. So that's the only reason why. It's not because of probably the cash is not good enough.
Thank you so much, Olawale. And I kind of agree. I think it's just pure greed on the side of Barcelona and Real Madrid. Shay, I'm going to come to you here. So many things for us to dissect. We probably will still do another session on this Messi impasse in subsequent shows. Messi cost this club gross salary before bonuses, before other benefits. It cost about 70 million pounds a year. That is what Messi, an individual, cost an entire franchise, a club. Now, Shay, my question is this. Wale said it. We've seen, Debo also alluded to it, rather, Yinka alluded to it. We've seen this trending in the last 5 to 6 years. Messi in his conference said he offered to drop his wages by 50%, but even that was still going to be higher than the salary cap. Where did Barcelona get it from? Couldn't they have told Messi? The logo on the club says more than a club. That is their logo. Couldn't they have told Messi, can't we structure your deal such that the bulk of your money is coming from bonuses and endorsements? And that way, exactly. You create an opportunity for us to be able to sign the best talent. So do you think it's greed on the part of Messi's agent that the contract kept increasing every time they were renewing it? Or is it just a case of COVID will never happen? But also, we're talking about this COVID, but Man City is paying the mega millions. So what is Man City doing right that the guys in Spain, the Madrids and the Barcelona are doing wrong? Very quickly.
Yeah, quickly. I think from my own point of view, I don't think I'm going to leave the blame at the doorstep of Messi. I think I will leave it at the doorstep of Barcelona management. Over the years, we've seen almost the rivalry between Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi has not only been on the football pitch. We've seen when they increase the salary of Cristiano Ronaldo, there's another deal also coming in for Lionel Messi. And I think that actually affected them over the years. Let's say Real Madrid was a little bit just wise enough to ship Cristiano Ronaldo out, because they could have been in the same situation. Trust me. The best decision they made at that point, which we football fans thought it was not actually right, was to let Cristiano Ronaldo go. Messi has been there, Luis Suarez has been there, they brought in Restman when they should have just, take a pass. So I think the blame totally is not with Messi. A player and the agent will always want more money, they will always come for it, but the club has to make the decision either to bend to the rules or manage their portfolio. Like you rightly mentioned, they could have sold to Messi different ways that he will be able to make all this money, but they did not. So I think all the blame should be to the club management, in my point of view.
Thank you so much. And one major franchise, one major club has been the overall beneficiary of all these things happening. And that club has been PSG. During this offseason, PSG has been able to sign Sergio Ramos. They've been able to get Lionel Messi potentially. We hear there's a two-year plus a one-year option deal in play on the table for Lionel Messi. They've been able to get these guys, and I'm forgetting one other major signing they just had, but they practically they got Gigi Wijnaldum from Liverpool for practically they got all these guys
free,
ladies and gentlemen. I mean, yes, their salaries will still be paid for, but no sign-on or no transfer fee. We wait to see how this will play out. I don't think this will be the end of us discussing all this. Time will just not permit us to do this. But guys, please engage us on all our social media handles, on Facebook, on News Instanta Sport, on YouTube, News Instanta Sport, on IG, is News Instanta. Until the next time, guys, keep supporting sports. Hold your leaders accountable, especially your sporting leaders. And when the Premiership starts, rep your club. This is Kachi, the Oracle, signing out. See you next time.